the flow of life and the flow of events in life is literally so perfect, but we tend to miss it, and we tend to think that it's somehow wrong, like whichever stream of consciousness you believe, whether you believe in that there are multiple souls here, or it's just you here, or it's the notion of God. It doesn't really matter, because essentially what worry is basically thinking that the universe or your higher self or God got it wrong, or is going to get it wrong. But the reason why that's nonsense is because God never gets, or the universe or your higher self consciousness never gets the sunset and the sunrises wrong, never gets the phases of the moon wrong, never gets the seasons wrong, the birth of the new plants, the hibernation of creatures. It never gets it wrong. It doesn't get it wrong. It doesn't get wrong your growth of your skin after an injury. It doesn't get wrong repair. It doesn't get wrong digestion. It doesn't get wrong blood circulation and respiration, really. I mean, yes, disclaimer, there are people that have illnesses, but that's another topic for another day. But overall, even with illnesses, that's just something that's not right within a perfectly working system, isn't it? So, and that's the structure of it. So the basic fundamental is the structure works. So it's really interesting to recognize that when you're going through something, going through a phase of life or a dark night of the soul or wherever it is, and you're going through that stage where you require things to be a certain way, but they are not that way yet, and you feel like you're being buffeted by circumstances. It's not really like... I saw this really interesting thing by 50 Cent was, and to everybody that thinks 50 Cent's not a genius, the dude is literally a genius, man. So find some videos of his and watch it. He's gamed the whole system. But anyway, what he said was, when you want things to happen, they're literally not going to happen at that time, because you're not ready for it at that time. Because in essence, you need to grow skin, the thick skin or the tough skin, to be able to deal with it when it comes. Because, and it's similar to another book I read where the guy was talking about the notion of like how essentially the law of attraction is something that has to be practiced and learned over time before you're gifted it by the universe or your higher self or whatever it is. Because if you haven't harnessed the power of it and learn to control it, then essentially the minute you wish for $1 million, yes, it'll come straight away. But the minute you had a negative thought about, I don't know, say you're listening to a podcast or you hear a news story about somebody being killed or something like this, right? And then in that split second you think about a relative or a loved one, yeah? Essentially you will attract that same thing into your reality straight away, which is not ideal, because you end up with a very topsy-turvy life where things are going up and down, not up and down in terms of like but you'd be going through extreme highs and extreme lows and extreme highs and extreme lows, because you'll be attracting a lot of negative and a lot of positive simultaneously, and it will not be a pleasant life. It will not be a pleasant life. Imagine you wanted all the things you had, and then straight away you have it, and next minute you think about, oh, what if somebody robs me? And then that night you get robbed by, people, and you think about the safety or well-being of your family, and then something happens to them, and then, oh God, but I've got all this stuff, and then you would literally, it will literally tear you apart from the inside. So I think the best thing is to go with the flow and just know that everything's happening for you. If it's happening for you, it'll happen in its own time. You're the seed. You're just being watered now. You're being watered, you're being nurtured by the soil, sunlight, whatever else, So be patient. There's no rush. All the information for you to become that mighty oak is within you. And it's going to come out. You can't rush the process, and it's hard sometimes because we want things to happen now. But that's just our human minds, human programmed minds, So in essence, to really, 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 really enjoy life and be present as consciousness requires you to be in the present moment, right? Being present is letting go. Not just detaching from, because these words get thrown around a lot, but not just detaching from everything, right? But you have to literally let go of everything and just be like, okay, it's happened. I wanted this, but it's not happened yet. And sometimes if you're really, really honest with yourself, if you're truly honest with yourself, what tends to happen is if you look at your own life circumstances, in that very moment when you want all those things to happen for you instantaneously, right? Chances are you aren't ready for them. Or even if you were to be given it that day, straight away, you wouldn't even know what to do with it. Like, you wouldn't even know where to begin. You wouldn't even know how to handle it. So it's a step by step. It's a step by step, and sometimes we force, and then the flip side of it is we get frustrated, and then we force it. And because we have free will, yes, you can force it, but forcing it is very expensive to your soul. What do I mean by this? I mean it's very expensive because say for argument's sake, a person wants $1 million, let's say $100,000 or £100,000, something like this, right? And he's like, I want that money, I want it now. So he tries to save money, it doesn't work. Then he reckons, I'm gonna steal from someone, or I'm gonna, do something crooked to like somebody to get that money, or immerse themselves into some dark environments and sell drugs or rob people, steal, cheat, all these things, right? When you really start to understand how energy works and how energy flows, these are very expensive to your soul, because yes, you will get it, but as quick as you got it, it'll be as quick as you lose it. Take it from me, because you might think, yeah, but you've seen somebody that's done it, he did it that way, and he managed to keep it all, so I should be able to keep it all, and I'm going to be able to do it. But what you fail to realize is, this person that you're looking at, you don't know their story, you don't know exactly how they did it, you don't know how they balanced or neutralized their karma, you don't know. You have no awareness of that, right? So it's very short-sighted to just think that one size fits all in terms of those kinds of things. But most importantly, the cost to your ego, to your soul, is one that you don't really want to have to pay, because eventually you will have a moment when everything comes crashing down. And when that moment comes, it will not be worth £100,000, believe me. So, and I'm not saying just sit there idly and do nothing. Keep doing what you're doing, whatever it is, to get you closer to your goal. I don't know whether it's whatever your goal is, you know. You still need to take steps, you know, steps towards it every day. And as you're taking those steps, just relax, just rest. It's almost like checking the progress after going to the gym after one day. You're not going to see anything, you know, or watching paint dry. The more you stare, the longer it takes to dry. But when you don't stare, or you don't watch the paint, you come back after like what seems like just a few minutes and it's done, you know. So divine timing, it's all about divine timing. And letting go and enjoying the flow. Because if you're not enjoying the flow and you're like, oh, why is it not happening, then you're not being present anyway, so then you're not in the conscious state, which is not the state you really want to be in, you know. So I get it. It can be lonely, it can be painful, it can be heartbreaking, it can be all these really hard emotions. But the crucial thing is, one must experience these emotions in their entirety. You have to, in order for you to appreciate the counter emotions of those things, which are all emotions that are positive. So yeah, ride with it, man, and eventually you'll balance out, man.